Here's kind of the synopsis. So people have asked, hey, is there a way to take like these old He-Man heads and find a way to put them onto our classics or our origins? And the answer is yes. Yes, you can. In fact, I'm going to show you guys how to do it. I'm going to actually use his head right here because I'm going to use his actual body later on to make a custom Wonder Bread He-Man. So I'm not going to need his head, so I figured it'd be a great head to use to do this. So the first thing you need to do is actually take his head off. And to take his head off, the easiest way is to heat it up and remove it. So I tried a new pitcher here. We'll see if this works or not. Got my new water heater. It's actually the same water heater, it's a different glass. I found this taller pitcher. I got a little lid for it now to maintain heat a little better. Whoa, that was a close one. Let's see if this works okay. So let's stick him in there. Heat his head right up. So I have some wipes here, and this will clean the parts so they actually stick together better. You can use alcohol and a dryer wipe. They work really good too. It's got to get all the oils off it and stuff really good, so the glue will actually adhere to it. And again, for those that have downloaded the sheet, I'm using two of these made for boots and one of them made for the shoulder fix. So if you look on your worksheet, you'll see the boot one and the shoulder one. Sorry, my wife's not here to read the questions. She's actually watching the grandkids. So I got to keep looking over and seeing what you guys are typing. All right, let's just hold those together with the super glue in there. Wow, it works way better when you actually clean them first. What a crazy concept. All right, now let's glue the next one on top. Apply a lot of pressure. Now, for those that have watched my class before, you know the quickest way to dry super glue is to use a Q-tip. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now before it gets all over my fingers. Just going to run it around the outside into that seam and just clean off all the excess glue. And this will actually dry the glue all the way around very quickly. It's a great trick if you need to ever dry glue quickly. Water will also cause the super glue to dry quickly as well. So if you ever spill super glue, just pour water on it instantly. It ruins the adhesion and will dry it instantly. If you want something to stay glued, don't use the water. All right, so we got most of the glue cleaned off here because we don't want this to be glued onto the figure. That would be bad. All right. So now let's go ahead and pull the head off this guy. Ready to go. So that head should just come off, no problem. There we go. Let's let him leak all over there. So we got the head off, but the problem is if I just stick his head on right now the way it is, it's got that big old bottom piece that doesn't match up, and it just looks ridiculous. And I want you to notice, if you take a look at the real heads that go on there, they have kind of a indented area, and they only have the chin and around the hair. So we have to sand this around to reveal just the chin and the hair. Sometimes I use scissors first to cut around it. So let me go grab my scissors. I got his head right here. It's warmed up from the hot water. So let's go ahead and slice into this guy. Now it's kind of scary first time you slice into a figure because you're like, what's going to happen? I'm going to ruin this guy. And yes, once you slice into him, he can no longer be used for the regular figures. You have technically destroyed him from being used back on the regular figures. But he's going to have a better purpose now, as we're going to use him for an Origins or for a Classics figure. So that'll be cool. So just cut around, get up by his ear. Match it on this side. All right, so now you got to cut around his chin a little bit harder to get around that beard right there. And this always is kind of a scary thing to do because one wrong slip and you've wasted this head for nothing. That looks pretty good. And sometimes what I'll do is I will go back and repaint the brown for his hair or whatever color it is around the bottom where I cut that out. That does not look half bad. All right, now let's grab the Dremel tool and finish cleaning it up. Well, that looks pretty clean. That's what we're looking for. So now I have my O-rings, and you can see that they go way too far deep inside there for it to work. So you want to do is pop the O-rings onto the figure's head you want to use, just like that. And now you can put the head on there and see how far away you are. Now we're a long ways off because those O-rings go way too far down. So we need to stack them up a little bit and make it a little taller. So back to my O-rings. And each head's a little different. I like it because there's a small hole in the top so you don't accidentally lose that spot. Let's just stack these up and see how those look on his head. And that will be too tall. His neck will be too high up. So both of those is too much. So let's try just the one and see how that works. That one seems to work pretty good. That's about the right height we're looking for. So that's pretty good. All right, so now let's glue this in here, or glue the thing on top. And right now, this is really fragile. That glue can break off of there really easy. We're going to add some more stuff to it to make it more permanent once we get it all ready. So again, hold this till it sets up our figure. So you want to make sure it's dry inside, because we do not want to glue this to the figure's head, or the parts. You want it removable so we can actually use it for more than one figure if we choose to. So always use your Q-tip on the inside, get it all cleaned out. So let's go ahead and get that all set up. All right, so there we go. That's looking pretty good. So now we'll pop that back onto our figure. We'll check it out for height. Yep, that's going to look really good. So now that we have that all set up, we are now going to leave this on the head, put this on here, and actually glue it to his head, and then pull it back off once we're done. So that's kind of the tricky part. So I want to make sure I get this all clean before I do that. First, I forgot, sometimes they got residue on the inside of these figures when they molded them originally. This JB Quick Weld. This stuff works great. It sets up in 5 minutes. And I have some that's already open and ready to go. So let me grab a little paper cup. You want 2 equal parts as you mix this. So whatever size you make for the white, you got to use the same size for the black part of it. So let's go ahead and coat this thing. This stuff's just a mess. Everywhere you put it, it's a mess. I'm going to coat the outside too, so the O-rings will be stronger and not keep falling apart, because super glue only holds so much with this little thin plastic or little thin rubber spots. So I'm just going to coat this thing. Lots of this 2-part epoxy mix. There's Fisto. Just slide that right in there. Hold that in place. I'll clean off any excess that we have around there with my Q-tips while it's setting up. So we only have 5 minutes to play with this. If I want, I can drip some more of this black goo. It's starting to harden a little bit inside here, just to make sure that other heads you can use. So this right here is a hard rubber He-Man head, and this would work great because it's hard rubber. You may not have to actually use the O-rings at all. You could probably just sand it out to do it. Another great head to use is actually his head right here for the same reason. Because it is hard rubber, let me pull this off so you guys can see. There it is. It's almost ready to go just the way it is. Just a little bit of sanding, and it already has the spot inside for it to fit on to the O-ring. You have to take and sand out more of this right here in order to make room for the neck. So these heads are easier to use. Anyway, while we're waiting, let's go ahead and pull Tila's head off. So here is Tila. And I just bought this one just for this class. Let's go ahead and pull her head off. Ugh. Ugh. Now her head is way different. She's not going to require the O-rings. We're just going to take and actually just cut off her nib on there. So, pull her head off. Take off her armor. You can see the size we got to make it to fit on there. So, let's put her other head over here to keep it safe. Let's pull out our Dremel tool and start shaping around her head first. jam it on there. There you go. And while it's jammed on, it sit for a while. Let the rubber cool. Keep moving it so you don't ruin the figure beneath it. And then pluck it out of there. And there we go. Now we got a removable head. I mean, I have an old Tila head that can be put on and replaced. A little more sanding around the edges to clean it up, and we're done. All right, I think I'm done. Just smooth up some of that rubber around there. That's what it looks like on the inside. It's kind of a mess, but it works. Let's pop that back on. And there we go. The color doesn't quite match, but very cool. All right, so let's see if our Fisto head is complete. Let me stick a Q-tip in there to make sure we don't have some excess material in there that needs to be, that's going to ruin our figure. Nope. All right, let's go ahead and pop that on and see how that works. Ta-da! Da-da-da-da! And there's my Fisto. It looks like our head's ready to go. And it's still movable. Still position it. I'll pull it off carefully until it finishes drawing till tomorrow. There we go. Once it finishes drawing, I won't have to worry about pulling off so carefully, but that's all I got, you guys. All right, thanks for joining the class. Make sure that you guys download that worksheet I have. Check out my class next week. Next week's going to be on painting. So that will be next week's class. All right, you guys, like, subscribe, tell your friends, share it around, and I will see you guys next video. Thanks for joining. Bye now.